If you think of all the greatest guitar solos of all time, Back in Black by AC/DC, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, or Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, what do they all have in common? Now, it's not some crazy secret, or technical ability, or crazy shredding. In fact, it's following the chords. And by following and outlining the chords, you're really showing that you're playing with the band, and you're serving the song, not just playing by yourself and just doing some crazy scale shreds or whatever like most people do. And there's two real ways you can tackle outlining the chords and making your solo sound as epic and legendary as all these famous solos are. Number one, you could just go straight ahead and memorize the fretboard through hard cold memorization, or you can use technique number two, which is a way that I've come up with, and I'm going to show you today. And this way you can learn all your different chords across the neck, inversions and voicings, meaning you can play the same chord at different locations of the fretboard instead of just your basic chords right here. You can play them all across the fretboard, and you can also memorize the individual notes. So that's a technique I'm going to show you. Now, if you just want to, play your own thing, do crazy shredding, and not outline the chords and whatever, you can do that. That's your choice. But if you want to be able to outline the chords a lot easier, then this technique I'm going to show you today will certainly help you with that. So, without further ado, let's take a look at it. Alright, so let's get started with this special trick that we have here. Alright, so first what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the upper part of the neck. So this part of the neck is used. I'm not saying it isn't used, but it's not used typically as much as this part of the neck. And plus, even though it's the same amount of frets, this part just looks bigger and is typically used more. So, and the reason why we're going to ignore this and work on this later is because everything after the 12th fret repeats. So your open strings is the same at your 12th fret. So after the 12th fret, everything just repeats. So we're just going to be covering from the open string all the way to the 12th fret. Alright, so that's what we want to do. That's first. Ignore this part of the neck. So we just have from your open strings all the way to your 12th fret. Alright. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to divide the remaining part of the neck into three different parts. So we have 12 frets, and if we're going to divide into three parts, that means each part will have 4 frets, because 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we're going to have the low part of the neck, the middle part of the neck, and the high part of the neck. So if we have 12 frets right here, the first 4 frets will be your low part of the neck. The next 4 frets will be the middle part of the neck. And the final 4 frets will be the high part of the neck, alright? So frets 1 through 4 is the low part of the neck, 5 through 8 is the middle, and 9 through 12 is the high part of the neck, alright? So now that we have 3 parts of the neck, what you're going to do is you're going to pick one chord. This can be a major chord or a minor chord. For this example, I'm going to use an A major chord. So before I show you the trick, just know that A major is made up of 3 notes, just like any other major minor chord, made up of 3 notes. A as a root, C sharp as the major third, and E as the perfect fifth. So A, C sharp, and E are the notes that make up A major. Alright, so now that we have 3 sections of the neck, what we're going to do is we're going to find one position of the same chord in each part of the neck. So what do I mean? Okay, so first we're going to choose A major, right? So we have to find the notes A, C sharp, and E. So now in the first low part of the neck, this is quite easy to do, and that's because everyone's used to this position right here. Second fret on the D, D and G. So let's cover the first part of the neck, right? Frets 1 through 4. Now let's take a look at the middle part of the neck. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find another A major chord, right? So in order to find this A major chord, all we have to do is simply find the 3 notes that make up A major. So that would be A, C sharp, and E. So now if you look at the middle part of the neck, from here to here, where can we easily play A, C sharp, and E? Well, it's right here. 7th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the B string. So now we have 2 positions in the low part of the neck and the middle part of the neck. Now we're going to repeat the same process again in the upper part of the neck in the final 4 frets. 9 through 12. So now once again find the three notes A, C sharp, and E, and we end up with this position: 11th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string, and 10th fret on the B string. So now we have three A major positions. Okay, so now how is this useful? Well, first of all, instead of memorizing every single possible A minor shape all across the neck, now you have three main ones to look at. So these three, they cover more ground instead of just, memorizing 5 different positions of A major in this area, then this area, and this area. That's too much to memorize, and you'll probably won't use it as much, and you're gonna forget it, and just gonna waste your time. And it's a lot harder, obviously. So by covering one chord in each section, you're covering a lot more ground, covering a lot more of the neck. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is that there's a very simple pattern that you can use to memorize all your chords. And like I said, we're going to be taking a look at the major chord example in this video. So if you take a look at the three shapes of A major, there's two patterns you can recognize. Number one is the shapes, and number two is the notes. So first let's talk about the shapes. So for all your major chords, you're going to have three shapes, at least depending on the D, G, and B strings. But typically we already know how to play the basic chords on the low E and A strings. That's why I'm going to show you on the middle strings, because that's what people are most unfamiliar with. So that's why we're going to be talking in terms of the three middle strings, right? D, G, and B. So there's three shapes that make up all these major chords across the neck on these three strings. So if you take with the first shape, this is called the stacked shape. This is basically all three notes are on top of each other. Then we go to this shape. This I like to call a staircase shape, because look, it's sort of like a staircase. Then we go to this shape. This one is kind of just a random shape. You can't really think of a name. I just call it spider shape because I don't know. The weird finger positioning just makes you think of a spider. But now we have these three shapes, right? All the notes on top of each other. The staircase shape and this weird shape. But now the thing is, you can do the same thing with any other major chord. They're going to be on different frets, of course, but these three shapes I just showed you, you can find any major chord with them. Let's take an example. So for example, we're going to use an F major chord, right? So another major chord. Before we did A major, now we're going to do F major. So now we find the first position of F major. Remember, we start with the lowest part of the neck, the first 4 frets. So now we find F major. F major is made up of the notes F, A, and C. So as long as you find those, you're playing an F major chord anywhere on the neck, alright? So this is the notes F, A, C, alright? So there we go, look. Lower part of the neck. Does the shape look familiar? Well, yes it does, because it's a staircase shape that I showed you before. So now, even though an A major starts with the stack shape, this starts with the staircase shape, we're still using the same three shapes, alright? Then, this covers our lower part of the neck, right? Now we go to the middle part of the neck, and guess what? If we find the notes F, A, C again, then we get the spider shape in the middle of the part of the neck. And then, if you go to the high part of the neck, the final 4 frets, then guess what? We find the stack shape again across the 10th fret. F, A, C. So with those three same shapes, by just playing them at different frets, we managed to find our major chords just like that. F major or A major, any other type of major chord. And like I said earlier, I want to talk about one more thing. So I already talked about the first pattern, which is the shapes. Second pattern is the notes. So if you notice something, always the core note, not the root note, the core note will always change. So what do I mean by that? Well, since we're taking a look at the D, G, and B strings, let's take a look at an A minor chord again. We have an A major chord. So we have the A major chord. This is the A note. This is C sharp note. This is the E note. So on the D string, we have the E note. That's not the root. The A is the root. That's on the G string. So if you use the D string as a bass, that's an E, right? Then, if you find your A, this is your next shape. So if you simply find the next root, you can find the shape a lot easier. So this is E. So we have this shape. Then we find A on a D string. So we have this shape. And then, If we find C sharp, it's right here. Then we have our next shape. So instead of memorizing the shapes, what you can do a lot easier is just simply see where the note is. So basically the 3 notes that make up the major chord, all 3 of them will appear on the string. So first we have E, then A, then C. Same thing goes for an F major chord. Right here, look on the 3rd fret, we have F, because remember F is made up of the notes F and C. So our F is right here on the 3rd fret, our A is right here on the 7th fret, and our C is right here on the 10th fret. So by following this pattern, you can memorize the different chord voicings and chord inversions all across the neck a lot easier, and this will help you outline chords and write solos, whether you're improvising them or writing them, a lot better. And it's better than just doing just shredding madness, or just not following the chords at all, or just having to memorize each and every single note on the fretboard. So I hope this helped. Please share if it did, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.